2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
What's going on, everybody? Paul Hickey here with Coach Rod, Ricky Rodriguez, Ravenwood Football, the Coach Rodcast, episode 11. It's playoff time, baby. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing amazing. How about you, Paul?
I'm doing great. Doing great, man. Ready to talk some Raptors football here. We've got a short week all of a sudden. The game is now on Thursday, November 6th at 7 p.m. Probably should get that housekeeping news out of the way here.
Yep, absolutely. I know it was a crazy 24 hours yesterday. At about, I don't know, I think it was around 7:30. I started getting phone calls from some coaches around the area, basically asking if I had any discussions about whether or not we were going to move the game to Thursday. And I was like, I haven't heard anything. Why? And they were like, well, have you seen the weather forecast? And then I pulled up one of my 17 weather apps that I have since I've moved to the state of Tennessee, and all of them, we're projecting some severe weather potentially in the area for Friday. So immediately got on the horn, and we made it all happen before lunchtime started yesterday. So I think the kids are excited. I think they're ready to play. I think we're ready to coach. So, and just grateful for Cane Ridge being able to adjust their schedules as well, to be able to accommodate us and get it in. We don't want another Green Hill situation, Paul, where we're, waiting around for hours on end on Friday if there was lightning in the forecast. And it would be a incredible disadvantage for us to have to delay that game and then play on Saturday. And then, if we're fortunate enough to win, to have a short week the following week for preparation. So everything worked out the way that it's supposed to. And we're excited to tee it up in about, 30 plus hours.
Yeah, man. Props to the powers that be for making it happen quickly. Like you said, better Thursday than Saturday, most likely. So it'll be 2 straight Thursday night games in a row. Before we get to the Ravens versus Raptors preview, let's just recap the Battle of the Woods real quick, because I don't have the stat sheet in front of me, but I believe it ended at 41-6. Big time win, 13-3 at halftime, and then Ravenwood just came out and dominated the second half, proving that, of course, we are the real Wood. So, Coach Rod, I know there's a lot of great stuff to talk about. The guys did great. The fans were awesome. Great student section. The flag football team, the girls flag football team, honored before the game. I know you were part of that. So just kind of recap it from your point of view in terms of what it means to the school, what it means to the Raptors community, and then, of course, how the football team did on the field was just outstanding.
I mean, the whole week, Paul, was just incredible, from our student body all week. We had blackout theme days all week, so to see the energy and the buzz from the student body and the teachers, I mean, it was really cool. And I think one of the kind of highlights of the week for me was we were able to host a pep rally on Thursday, and we had a group of individuals that are administrators or teachers from international schools all over the world. And they got to experience the Ravenwood pep rally. A couple of them came to the game, and I received some texts from them after the game just about, the whole day, from the pep rally to the buzz on campus to the tailgating that was going on. It was great. All the stuff that leads up to the game. That's what makes this community special. It's always all about the kids, and our communities and our families definitely showed out, to support our kids, and we had a great week of preparation for Brentwood. There was very little, you know, talk about, what was ahead, or, just the region championship. I mean, it was solely focused on winning a football game, just as if we were playing any other opponent, which was a little different, because I think, in years past, I have been so caught up on, the rivalry in itself and the real wood and all the social media stuff that goes along and, the traditional rivalry stuff that takes place across, the country when it comes to either high school or college football. And really, we didn't have any of that. So, kudos to both schools and communities and student bodies. I thought it was really cool that both of our student sections kind of collaborated on things. So there wasn't any drama really, right? Which, you know, in the spirit of competition, sometimes that takes away from the 48 minutes that you get to play on the field. And, our boys came out and they played. We have a player, I don't know if you've heard of him, Paul, by the name of Maverick Chance, that showcase some of his ability that we've kind of not been hiding, but that we wanted to unleash as we got closer to the playoffs. So for him to come out and really have a historical performance, he was, I think, 19 yards away from becoming the first high school football player in the state of Tennessee for sure, but we went down the rabbit hole of Google to see if anybody in a high school football game had rushed for 100 yards, thrown for 100 yards, and had 100 yards receiving. And, there was one player back in the 60s that did it, and Maverick was 19 yards away from accomplishing that feat. So just
19
an
rushing
incredible,
yards away. Was it rushing?
yeah, yeah,
He had 100
19
receiving
rushing
yards.
yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 19, he was 19 rushing yards away. And then just to combat that with the overall team effort from, incredible plays made, by Danny Brown, Connor Shavy. Our defensive line, I felt controlled the game at the line of scrimmage. Our defense continues to be, like we've said way back in our preseason podcast, like they're the anchor and the heart and soul of this team, and to give up 6 points against your biggest rival in a game like that, just incredible, and then other guys stepping up, right? How about Davis Dolan getting into the paint? That was so excited to see. I mean, that young man just worked so incredibly hard, and for him to get rewarded on the biggest stage, I was just so proud of him. And then Femi, of course, complimenting Maverick's effort. Femi, I think he had 200 plus yards passing. It's just all around effort. And we strive to win the trenches every single game. So to have our offensive and defensive line perform at the level that they did against a really quality opponent, it was just special. And then kind of the capper, right? And you know I was kind of indifferent in the moment, to whether or not the way the score was and the time remaining, whether or not I should do it. But at the end of the day, right, it's about these kids, and a kid like Lucas McCollum, who has dedicated his whole high school career to doing whatever this program needed from him, for him to be rewarded by getting in the end zone for the first time, I think since he was like 9 or 10 years old, and the Blaze was just a really special moment for our team, and to see how the kids celebrated with him. I mean, it was just incredible. And he had a big week. He was named our school's athlete of the week. And sometimes, those guys that play in the trenches don't really get the recognition that they deserve. And me as the offensive line coach, and I know Coach Elrod felt the same way. Um, for him and that group and those groups as a whole to be recognized in that moment, it felt like all of them, reached the end zone. So just a really special moment. There was a lot of them in that night. And then, we celebrated after the game, as a community, like we always do, which is always special. And then I went home and I turned the page because I was anxiously awaiting those Friday games to see how the brackets would play out and where we would land. In this 32 team, playoff.
So speaking of the entire offensive and defensive line feeling like they got into the end zone when Lucas scored, I will say his father, Brian McCullum, BMAC, also felt like he got into the end zone because he was right in front of the booth when I was calling it, and he just looked back, and the look on his face, it just was priceless. I loved every second of it. So
Yeah,
when something
that's what
special
it's
like
all
that
about.
happens, it means a lot, not only to the player, but to the entire community, like, the entire unit, like you said, the offensive and defensive line, because Lucas has played both this year, and then the families, and it was just a fun moment. So I know on one hand it's like, okay, are you running up the score? But really, what it is, it's about the kids, and so
Yeah, it is. It's a tribute.
Lucas
Yeah,
was awesome. I mean, is his new nickname Wildcat now? Are we calling him that?
it could be. I mean, if we came in on Sunday and there was about 15 new plays that were drawn up on the board on how to get, offensive linemen in the end zone. And I was like, guys, like, that was probably a one-time thing,
That's
but who
probably
knows?
it.
I mean, I told him this. I was like, hey man, you're 1 for 1 in your goal line, situation. So we might have to dip back into that well, if we're able to keep this season going.
Let me just credit Cy Longley's dad, Eric Longley, because I was trying to figure out who the heck that was. And I overheard Eric from the stall next to me up in the press box go, "Is that Lucas McCullum?" And then sure enough, number 50. So I was able to just jump right in and be like, okay, Lucas McCullum in the Wildcat. I mean, he looked good. But yeah, I mean, what a night. I mean, Maverick did score as a passer, rusher, and receiver on that, that stiff arm was amazing. But I'm glad you recapped everybody. I mean, everybody played really well. The usual suspects, Matthew Anderson, you mentioned Danny Brown already. Everybody playing really well. Just fun to see. Coach Rod, okay, so now let's move on to the Ravens
Yeah.
of Cane Ridge. Ravens come in to face the Raptors Thursday, everybody. Thursday, November 6th. Whenever you're watching this, it's either tomorrow or today. So get ready, 7 p.m. They are coming in, according to my information, they're 4-5. Raptors are 10-0. They've won 2 out of their last 3. Talk about what I mean, and actually, this is a repeat of last year, right? Because we had Cane
And the
Ridge
year
in the
before.
first round.
And the year before. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years in a row, Cane Ridge. So how are the Ravens different this year than the previous 2 years in the first round of the playoffs? What are we looking at?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that there's some continuity within their staff. 2 years ago, a legendary coach in Nashville, Eddie Woods, retired and passed the reins on to his new coach, and so I think that's a big part, right? Anytime you're in year 2 of a system, right, the kids are going to understand the scheme and things better. Their numbers are a little bit better than they were last year during this time, and they compete. There's a lot of athletes in that region of Middle Tennessee, so it's going to be a tough competition. That's for sure. I mean, we prepared for them like as we would for any opponent. These kids know that there isn't no reduce anymore, right? So we have to prepare as if every game is an elimination game, which it is. So I think that they do a lot of things well offensively. They kind of try to formation you and throw different things at you from an offensive standpoint, but they're really big on the defensive front. And the secondary, they're extremely talented. And they have a former Ravenwood coach on their staff, and Coach Grimes as well. So he's familiar with not only this program but our kids. He's taught some of them. He has relationships with them. So I mean, we're not taking anything for granted in terms of their record. I think they played in a lot of close games as well, to where 1 or 2 possessions here or there could have been the difference between a win or a loss. And then, of course, not getting that 10th game in the week of week 3 with all the weather delays that they had, they chose not to continue that game. So they're a 500 ball club, in my opinion, and potentially could have had a couple more wins. So we're, we're looking forward to some stiff competition, and we're obviously not looking ahead to anything else. I mean, I have been nosy on the brackets, Jet. That's just because my interest in in other high school, games and how things are going to shape out, and obviously wanting to see success from our county members throughout the playoffs. But we're solely focused on Cane Ridge, and I know Doc Vaden would be happy for me to give you a little historical context into kind of this rivalry, if you would call it, between Cane Ridge and Ravenwood. But she sent me an email this weekend about how Ravenwood came to be the Raptors as the mascot, and originally it was going to be the Ravenwood Ravens, right? But Cane Ridge obviously had that mascot, and through a vote, they actually voted on the Raptors. So it could have been at one point a Raven on Raven matchup, but that was really cool to see, and that's what else makes this place special. The interest and the support from everybody on this campus, from administration to custodial to our food service providers here at like everybody is so invested in our success right now that it makes you feel really good about things and about decisions that have been made, like me personally, like moving out here and joining a program like this. I mean, when you have a group and a community that just embodies what you want out of the high school football experience, it makes it that much more special. And it doesn't matter who we're playing, right? I mean, there's no less enthusiasm on this campus, in my opinion, for playing a game like the Battle of the Woods than playing Cane Ridge. I think everybody knows what's at stake. I also think there's a lot more people that understand that we can be really, really good, right? And we can take this thing as far as we want to. So it's a special time, and we're going to be extremely motivated to take the field tomorrow night.
All right, 10-0, but it doesn't matter anymore. It's week by week now. It's the playoffs, baby.
That's it.
Everybody come out and support the Raptors as the Ravens come into town this Thursday, November 6th, 7 p.m. Get out there if you can't, or if you're a family member from out of town, check it out at ravenwood.football. Can't wait, Coach Rod. Go get them.
Yeah, I can't wait either. It's supposed to be, decent weather. I was looking, I don't know if you looked at the weather next week, but Monday, Tuesday, Paul, we could be down in the 20s. So if we're fortunate enough to take care of business tomorrow and we continue our season next week, everybody better bundle up for the next week. But we're gonna take care of business. Hopefully tomorrow night. Excited. Everybody come out, and if you can't, make sure that you hop on the best broadcast of Ravenwood football by Paul Hickey at ravenwood.football. G2 Par, baby.
G2 Bar, get your 17 weather apps out. It's Tennessee.
Let's go,
Have
baby.
a good one, everybody.
Thank you.